we look for a few things in an entrepreneur, and maybe we can talk about the different dynamics together. One of the things that we look for is an authentic voice. So one of the things I liked about Twitter was that it was microblogging, and who started it? Evan Williams, right? The guy that did Blogger. Or you look at ModCloth, Susan Koger, who'd been thrifting clothing since she was 14. And so a lot of the companies that we've had the best success with, or WordNick, right, started by an Oxford English lexicographer. And so, all these companies, the entrepreneur, you get this feeling that that's the only company they would start. Yeah. And a lot of entrepreneurs look at starting a company as an experience rather than sort of a life's goal to change the world. So when an entrepreneur comes in the door, the first thing that we look for is an authentic voice for the market. And then I talked about this a little bit in my speech at the Funded event. We look for the entrepreneur who has unconventional wisdom, who has a non-consensus.
I like that. Yeah. So you have to be right, because if you're wrong, it doesn't matter.
Right.
And everyone else has to basically think you're wrong.
Non-consensus and right.
Yeah. And actually, maybe I can pull up that chart and add it to the post, because it was really interesting. If you have a clean version of that, I'd love that.
Sure, have to.
It's sort of fascinating. Actually, why don't you walk through it?
So the basic premise is we look at it as a 2x2 matrix, and you're either right or you're wrong, or you're consensus and you're non-consensus.
Yeah.
And if you're wrong, you lose all your money regardless.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
But the insight behind the chart is that two things. One is if you're right and you're in the consensus, you may not do that well. And the reason is that lots of people are on to the opportunity and the sector gets overfunded. And when a sector gets overfunded, all opportunities to create value are diminished. You compete profits away, acquirers have more choices of companies to buy, companies themselves are less valuable. So where you want to be is...
What's a sector right now that's sort of over-consensus?
Over-consensus. Gosh, there's so many. What would be over-consensus?
Or even sort of historically. I mean, without going into...
so for example, the next...
There's
there's like... 50 Groupon companies, or yet another private sale company. This goes back to when we talk about we want different, not better. And
does that just mean first? Because everyone gets copied who's successful, right?
But let's look at a company like Smule, which is one of our investments.
Yeah.
Right. People try to copy them, but they just can't. It just flops because Smule is just so innovative.
Yeah.
And Smule never says we're going to be the best in this sector of the market. They just say we're going to invent something so radically, transformatively cool, it's going to transcend competition. Yeah. And that's what the essence of different is, because different sticks and it's believable. It forces a choice.
Is Smule a big idea though? It almost feels like tiny little pieces of art that they launch as apps.
I think it's potentially a very big idea.
Are they monetizing anything yet? Are they charging for